guys, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us today is Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. It's Friday, and surprisingly, we have a lot of news to talk about. I know there's going to be a lot of discussion and debate today.
Also joining us, Perri Nemiroff.
Yep. That's putting it lightly. There will be a lot of that and then some. Have fun, guys.
Yep. Also joining us, John Rocha.
Hey, gang, everybody. I'm just going to put on both my seatbelts because we're talking about DC, so strap in. Let's make it happen. Let's have some fights.
And the casual, cool guy with the Hawaiian shirt on the panel, Mark Ellis.
Just happy to be here on a Friday, Natasha. I've been drinking since 8:30 a.m. Let's talk about Marvel.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, Warner Brothers announced yesterday that Matt Reeves has closed a deal to direct The Batman. The War for the Planet of the Apes director was rumored to be at the top of the list and then entered negotiations to take on the helm. However, those talks were stalled when The Hollywood Reporter reported that he walked away for unknown reasons. Seems now all is back on track as word on his hiring was made official by the studio. Reeves released a statement on his involvement saying, "I have loved the Batman story since I was a child," Reeves said. "He is such an iconic and compelling character and one that resonates with me deeply. I'm incredibly honored and excited to be working with Warner Brothers to bring an epic and emotional new take on the Caped Crusader to the big screen." Dennis, what are your thoughts on Matt Reeves officially directing The Batman?
I think it's great news.
Yeah.
I would have liked that Ben Affleck stay on and direct it as well, but you bring a talented director like Matt Reeves. I love what he did with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes into this franchise. I think now Ben, like he said, he can concentrate on just playing the Batman role, and Matt Reeves can handle the rest of it. I mean, they needed to get a director. I think there's a win for WB, a win for the DCEU, just because they need to get this movie moving. Mm-hmm. They know everyone loves Batman. They want to see a Batman movie. They want to get it out as soon as possible. I think there was some urgency, especially with all the things surrounding their thing. You know, with Flash, the only concern I have is let's not make this the Flash fit situation where you had that game of musical chairs where you don't know who's directing it every few months. It just changes hands. Let it be Matt Reeves. There was, people were speculating about Ben Affleck. Maybe he wasn't coming back because he wasn't listed in the press releases. He later tweeted out, "Welcome to the Batcave" to Matt Reeves. So that indicates that he's staying on to the movie. So I'm glad for that. This is some good news for DC. What do you think, Ellis?
I think it's good news today, Dennis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it's going to be next week because we've seen that a lot of directors have signed on to helm DC projects and they haven't actually lasted through the movie. So if Matt Reeves stays on, this is great news because he's an awesome filmmaker. He proved with the Planet of the Apes franchise he can come into a pre-existing thing and make it even better. He hopefully can do that with Batman, or maybe at least have Andy Serkis do performance capture as Ben Affleck in the bat suit. So it's a good win today, Dennis, but I'm still a little apprehensive long term because we heard as late as last week that he had been in a shouting match with people at DC during the job interview.
That one's strange to me.
They started yelling at each other, and now everybody's hunky-dory. So who acquiesced to what side? Was Matt Reeves saying, "Okay, fine, I can agree to direct y'all's vision of this," or did DC say, "Look, guys, we can't keep doing this to every director we have, so let's just let Matt Reeves have more creative control"? Either way, it appears that they worked it out. If this doesn't work out, they're in major, major trouble. I hope it does.
Perri?
I am afraid to get too excited about anything at this point, given how things have been shaken out the past few weeks. I mean, we've already said it. You just clearly never know what's going to happen. But if I am looking at this immediate piece of news right now, I really couldn't be happier with the candidate that they locked to replace Ben Affleck. If I didn't get my Ben Affleck directed The Batman movie, I really do have high hopes that the best next option could be a Matt Reeves directed The Batman movie. I mean, not only is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes a great movie, but right there is a perfect example about how a guy like him can step into a pre-existing franchise, maintain what was established before, yet also make it his own and make it a great movie. So I don't think that they could be in a better position, assuming that, this is a lock, it will move forward just like this.
Rocha?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. The idea, Matt Reeves has a great track record here, stepping in. Cloverfield obviously did that. Let Me In is a fantastic film one of these rare remakes of a European film that actually worked. So he has a very good track record of finding the gritty heart of these kinds of films and making them interesting and attractive to watch and vulnerable and fleshing out these characters and give them complex motivations. So to me, I think this is a good guy to step in. But there's a lot of moving pieces here. So that's what we say. So a lot of people are like, well, see, we told you Matt Reeves was going to, like, all of that's got to go away. None of you were inside that room with Matt Reeves and those executives, so you have no idea what was going on in there. There are rumors or ideas, but there's a lot of moving pieces. It could be that Matt didn't want to direct Ben's script, and it could be, well, Warner Bros., we spent a lot of money on this script. It could be that Matt wanted to have his own script. It could be he wanted to have changes, or Ben didn't want to give in on any changes. So there's a lot of things that could have happened here, and what is Zack Snyder's influence on the whole situation? So there's a lot that was moving around here, so I'm happy that they finally figured it out. Matt held his ground, which I think is a very strong thing to do with a studio and a property this large, to sacrifice the possibility of making money and having your name attached to this. He stood his ground, it feels like, and WB acquiesced to a degree, and maybe Matt came a little bit closer, and then boom, they figured out the deal. The thing is, this is today. Who knows what's going to happen? This is still Ben Affleck, who said on camera, I'm totally directing the Batman, and 5 or 6 days later, he's not directing the Batman. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But for right now, today, this is awesome news. I think this could really turn around the DCEU, and especially if Matt stays firmly planted on the ground and fights back any desire from them to change his film like they did with Suicide Squad, like they did with Batman vs. Superman, make it feel different. He might have a chance here to actually do their own film, him and Affleck, if they can get on the same page and create a effing masterpiece. And that's what I'm looking
Dennis,
for.
this is a good lesson for all you kids out there. If you're in a job interview, just start yelling.
And you'll get your way. On a side note, Mark Riley, who does our show notes, one of the things that caught my eye was on a short list, they had Fede Alvarez and Ridley Scott.
I know, Ridley's on a list.
What do you guys think about if maybe they had moved past Matt Reeves and onto one of those two? I mean, Fede Alvarez, I think, to me, makes sense. He's a young, up-and-coming director. He's done some great films already. Ridley Scott, though, that one's a little out of left field for me.
I love me some Ridley Scott, but I don't think my excitement level would have been at the same level had he been the one to snag the job. And I just want good things for Fede Alvarez.
Yeah.
I just want big opportunities to come his way. I don't necessarily know if anything in Evil Dead or Don't Breathe say to me that he would have been the guy to helm the Batman. He is very clearly a talented director who can direct incredible action scenes. I don't really connect the dots there, though. I think Matt Reeves is the better fit, but I am just rah-rah Fede all the way. And he's going to get another big blockbuster project at some point.
Fede would be fun if they handed him the sequel to Suicide Squad. That would be interesting to see what he could do with that. Because of what you saw in his horror films, there's something, he can get to the heart of these characters and get you into these real, darker areas. And I think it would be great to see Fede do that. I think Batman would have been the wrong choice. Matt Reeves is a better choice for this. Ridley Scott's Batman, I don't even know what that would look like. I mean, because we've seen him do amazing work with Gladiator, but then we've seen that nutty thing in The Counselor, and then he comes back with The Martian. So I don't know if he would have gotten to necessarily, because it's been not since Blade Runner that he's really gotten into something as dark as the Batman. And so it would have been interesting to see his take. I think maybe he's just a little bit too out of the age range to really capture what we're trying to have with this kind of Batman.
Well, Ridley Scott he seems to be one of those guys at this point in his career. He wants to make the movie he wants to make. He doesn't want to listen to his studio's notes at all. Fede Alvarez would be my number one choice to direct the Batman simply because he directs movies that take place at night. He's really good at shooting stuff that takes place at night.
That's the requirement, right?
Yeah, I mean, Batman largely takes place. He's not like he's stopping the Joker at noon. You wait until the night to go out and fight crime. That's what Fede Alvarez does well. He's the guy I wanted to see, but Matt Reeves, good choice.
All right, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay, THR reports that Lego Batman director Chris McKay is in negotiations to helm a Nightwing movie for DC Films. The film, based on the character of Dick Grayson, best known as Robin and a member of the Batman family, will be written by the accountant's Bill Dubuque. In the comics, Nightwing was the original Robin with his alter ego Dick Grayson, the youngest member of a family of acrobats. He later famously shed the persona to become the leader of the Teen Titans. The Nightwing project joins an ever-growing list of DC films the studio is currently focusing on in their new films. A release date has not been set. Perry, thoughts on a Nightwing movie directed by Lego Batman helmer Chris McKay?
Yes, please. I love this news so much, especially after the Lego Batman movie dropped. And I mean, that wasn't just a good movie. That is, it's not even March yet, but it's one of my favorite movies of the year. I'd be surprised if it got bumped down my list to such an extent. It would mean we had a great year for movies in 2017, but I'm very excited to see him. I don't know what his live action track record is as a director. I believe he started in maybe commercials and music videos, so maybe he does have more live action experience than I'm aware of, but it will be curious to see him make the transition. It is very clear that WB right now is in a position where they are finding directors that are doing good things for them, directors who are kind of just starting to build a track record, and they are holding tight. We're in the same kind of situation with Shazam, so it'd be really cool for Warner Brothers and for the DCEU to see them kind of build this coalition of up-and-coming directors that, I mean, they can kind of make their own, and that might sound like an odd way to put it, but when you have a team of filmmakers like that, especially when you're dealing with a cinematic universe, that is what you need. That's the kind of people you need. And in terms of Nightwing in general, I've never read any of the Nightwing comics. I just vividly remember, because I used to cover Toy Fair in New York all the time, and some of the stuff, Dennis knows, of course, and I'm a big Funko Pop fan, but some of just like the detailed action figures you'd see at those things are just, I really can't get over it every single time I go to that event. And one of the ones that caught my eye one year was this insanely detailed Nightwing. And I went online and I Googled, and I know as much as Wikipedia tells me, but just the look of the character, what I know of his backstory, I mean, that sounds to me like a really interesting cinematic story that would very clearly affect the DCEU. Because like the original story said that they don't know where in the timeline this movie would fall, but this could be, one, a great movie in and of itself in terms of it being, you know, an origin story of sorts, if that's what they're going for. And then it could also have a very interesting ripple effect for the larger DCEU. So I think this project has an insane amount of potential.
Rocha?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you cast the right person, you get the right team behind this, it could really be great. People have a very soft spot for Dick Grayson and the Nightwing character because of having been the first Robin. And then you see him breaking out from underneath Batman's rule or underneath Batman's tutelage and finding his own way. And they always butt heads, and they always come back to it, even with something like Kingdom Come, which is set decades later. They're still Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne's butting heads and still respecting each other. So there's a lot here to explore here, plus the stuff with Teen Titans, plus the stuff with all the stuff that could be connected to JLA, and all the things that he plays out and the romances that he has. Like, there's so much to play with Nightwing. It's such an incredibly rich character and fun to explore. I think it'll be interesting to see how they make this work, if they're going to make it work in the overall DCEU. What connections is he going to have, like what they're doing with Spider-Man and Marvel? They're having Iron Man shepherd him in. Are they going to have Batman? Are they going to have Affleck show up in this, like he did in Suicide Squad, to shepherd him a little bit through this Nightwing stuff? And what are we doing now? Are we saying that Robin existed, but now he's Nightwing? So we will not have Robin before, we will have just Nightwing. This is an interesting thing to explore, and I think McKay is a perfect guy. I think, Ellis, you did that pundit thing yesterday, and you really nailed it when you said how McKay is an incredibly intelligent guy about the Robin character, which you see in the Lego Batman movie, and you see how much of the lore he understands and respects, and so you know you've got a guy walking into this who already has a lot of understanding of what this character is all about.
Well, I'm glad you were able to borrow one of my points, Rocha. We were walking to lunch yesterday, and Perri grabbed me. She said, "Hey, can you do this quick Collider news piece?" And I was like, "Hey, John, can you wait a minute before we go to lunch?" And he was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Great, here's a free hosting class." So what I did is I was kind of like the Batman to Rocha's Nightwing, and I taught him exactly how you do an on-camera piece, and also why Chris McKay is a good choice for this movie. Like, for all the reasons we said, he's very steeped in the lore. He was able to poke fun of it with Lego Batman, but he also clearly shows that he is steeped in this mythology. But I'm not like doing cartwheels over this yet, because we know the larger picture here is that this is a movie that's going to be in the DCEU, and what the hell's happening with Batman? I'm getting a little tired of DC having all these problems come out in the public, and then the next day they announce some other piece of news that isn't related, just to kind of distract us from all the other things happening. Now, it's great that Matt Reeves is helming Batman as of right now, and that Chris McKay is interested in doing Nightwing. Those are great pieces of information. But the larger picture, I need to have a little more confidence in this going forward before I get super excited. If they right the ship, Nightwing is a great way to factor into Batman and build that mythology out. Whether they're going to stick that into the larger scale of the Justice League or not, or it's going to be more of a standalone Nightwing and Batman movie, I'm excited either way. Let's just get some good momentum going and not have anything else come out for a little bit before we can get truly pumped.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they do go forward with this movie, because it's, you know, if you want to tell an origin story, you can't tell an origin story of Nightwing without talking about Batman and him being Robin first. You know, we saw that Robin suit in Batman v Superman. We had assumed that was Jason Todd and not Dick Grayson.
Right,
with this one, Chris McKay, he did a wonderful job with Lego Batman. I've been, hearing a lot of critics and fans talk about how much Chris McKay got the Batman character more so than anyone had in a while. So I think he's a good fit for this. But as far as the movie's concerned, I think they're going to have to introduce, if they want to actually do a Nightwing movie, they have to introduce his character, at least in some sort of cameo, into the Batman movie. Because Nightwing, we all know who Nightwing is. Most of the movie-going audience, that's the casual fans, don't know. They know who Robin is. They know Batman. They know Superman, Wonder Woman. Nightwing, to them, it's a mystery. So if they introduce that character, show that he used to be Robin, I think that would get more fans in. So I don't know if they're going to integrate that into this future Batman movie.
I wouldn't mind if they took a cue from Logan, and obviously the movie hasn't come out, but our non-spoiler review is up, and one of my favorite things about what they accomplish in that film is you can enjoy it and understand it having not seen a single X-Men movie. But of course, if you have seen the X-Men movies, there's a lot of connective tissue in there, and there's a lot to be had just having known what these characters have been through. But it is a movie that stands on its own also. I would love to see a DCEU installment that could achieve the same.
Yeah, at some point I'm wondering, are we spending too much time in Gotham? That's the thing. Like, we have the TV show, now we have this Batman stuff, now Nightwing, and the Sirens that's coming out. We're spending all this time in Gotham. Remember Man of Steel? That was really good. I enjoy that movie, and Superman is getting short shrift all over the place in this thing. And I'm one of these people who's like, okay, let's move out of Gotham at some point, for God's sakes, and let's give Henry Cavill another movie, another shot to reestablish Superman. He kind of, when you see the extended cut of Batman vs Superman, you see more of Henry Cavill, and you see what they were trying to do with his character. Give me more of that. I'm cool, but I just want to have him. I want to get out of Gotham, is what I'm trying to say.
Nobody's making you watch the Gotham TV show. Like we're
No,
not.
I know,
we're
that's
not
damn
forcing you to
sure.
watch Sirens.
I'm just saying they're spending a lot of time in Gotham with all these
Batman's
properties.
cooler, bro. Batman's cooler.
How dare you?
Batman makes money.
I guess so.
That's what it is.
I guess so.
All right, let's move on to buy or sell. Natasha, what we got first?
While Joe Carnahan stays busy with a new The Raid remake, developing a script for X-Force, and prepping for the long-in-development Bad Boys for Life, the writer-director is also working on the video game adaptation of Uncharted at Sony. Carnahan recently spoke with ComingSoon.net, where he revealed his script based on the game is actually R-rated, and that's what he intended all along. Speaking about it all, Carnahan said, "When I wrote Uncharted, I didn't spare the rod. I wrote it the way the video game is. They swear in the game, they're kind of foul-mouthed, and I kept all that stuff intact, and I definitely didn't write it as a PG-13 movie. I wrote it the way the movie should be written." Rocha, would you buy or sell an R-rated Uncharted movie written by Joe Carnahan?
I would buy it, but with a bit of trepidation. I love Carnahan to pieces. That is a man's director. The Gray is fantastic. Narc is fantastic. These are very powerful films that appeal to me from a male point of view, in what the struggles are of the main characters in those films, what they confront, what they have to overcome, and what things that they've hidden from themselves that they have to confront in order to overcome their obstacles in those movies. And he has fun with the A-Team. I thought the A-Team was I don't know why there's not a sequel to that. I really enjoyed that movie. And Smoking Aces too. The thing that worries me about this idea for Uncharted is rated as T for teen, which is essentially PG-13. They do have cussing, but it's not like F this and F that and F and F, and there's not a lot of that going on. They're not dropping F-bombs left and right. And the violence is in the game, but it's not gory violence. It's just what you see in these kinds of games that are rated T for teen. It's enough violence, but it's not crazy gory violence. And so that's my concern with him making it an R-rated movie, is you might be trying to make this a grittier, darker film, and that's okay. The thing is, you might be alienating the audience that you're trying to bring in to the movie. So that's where my concern or my worry about him doing an R-rated film of this property comes in. But I buy it because I like Carnahan to love him to pieces as a director, and I will go see this just because his name is on it.
I'll buy it just because Joe Carnahan as well. I didn't like the A-Team like you did, but the gray.
Once again, Dennis, what I should. Yeah.
The gray was pretty good,
Yeah.
and I have same concerns where I think he's probably writing a pretty good script, but at the same time, I don't know if the movie will ever get made as a rated R film. I mean, we have. You know, with Logan coming out now, and we had Deadpool, that people are dipping their toe into R-rated movies that are fitting towards the kind of geek genre. Yeah. And maybe if Logan does well, maybe that will inch closer towards an Uncharted one. But I don't know necessarily if they want to have one. What I do like is he talks further in the interview about the differences between Nathan Drake and Indiana Jones, and how they are, even though it's kind of the same genre, he's not the same character as him, and I like that he gets that, but I just don't know if we're going to see a rated R Uncharted. Ellis?
Yeah, I would have to sell that too, because I think that in the way that Deadpool and Logan are so successful, comic book movies have been huge, have been the biggest movies on the planet for the better part of 2 decades. Video game movies have not been, and it still makes the studio very nervous to slap an R rating on a video game movie when the results have not been there to even indicate that you can get a good box office return from a PG-13 movie. They're still going to be very concerned about that opening weekend, so I think it's going to end up being rated PG-13. However, Joe Carnahan sounds like a guy who has a good handle on Uncharted and what that can mean, and I'm sure you're going to get an unrated Blu-ray version or whatever they want to do, but theatrically, I can't see Uncharted being rated R. Joe Carnahan is too busy. Do you see what he's doing? He's got to wake up and he's got to worry about X-Force and then the Raid and then Bad Boys for Life, and then he's got to play this video game in his spare time. That's a busy dude. That is a hard schedule, man. That's too much work for one boy.
Perri?
That's a lot of work, but he's a guy who deserves all that work. So, I'm with Rocha. You keep slapping his name on movies, it's going to make me want to see them. Yeah. I'm going to buy this, but I'm buying it as a non-game player who really likes horror and likes blood and cursing in movies and things like that. When you tell me, would you rather see an Uncharted movie rated R or rated PG-13? Based on my limited knowledge of the game, I am going to want an R. I don't know if that suits the material, though, and I don't mean to bring up Logan again, but you had mentioned it a couple minutes ago. Logan is a good example of a movie that decided to go with an R rating, and the R rating serves the material well. So for all of you out there who have played Uncharted and know what kind of tone that game runs with, if the R rating can suit it and can help make it more cinematic on screen, fine by me. If that's not the case, then clearly I should be rethinking my answer, because that game is popular for a reason, and I wouldn't want a studio to say, oh, look at all these successful R-rated movies. Let's just try to make this R-rated because maybe it'll pop like their movies did, because that would be a shame, and then what's the point in making the movie at all?
I mean, I played the first game, and nothing really struck out to me as this needs to be rated R. Right. Where something like Wolverine, when you read the comic books, there's definitely a violence to Logan that benefits and serves the story. I just don't know if this is the one.
Rocha, it's clearly evident that there's a rift to this table, that Dennis and Perri have seen Logan. You and I haven't.
I don't know why you haven't.
I was in St. Louis.
Here we go. At the Ha Ha Club.
Yeah.
Can I rub it in a little more?
Sure.
I've seen it twice.
Oh, I asked you to bring me to the second one. I asked you to bring me to the second one.
I have something for you later on the show.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Really? Would you, Dennis, would you want to see I would want to see a rated R X-Force. Would you?
Sure.
I would love that.
Especially if Deadpool factors in. There's going to be hard to...
I want to see Cable.
Yes.
Cable is the comic book character I want to see the most that hasn't been done yet.
I love X-Force. An R-rated X-Force would be awesome.
I want all video game movies to be rated R from now on. That Tetris trilogy, I want it rated R. I want to see some sex in the Tetris movie.
Oh, my.
I want to see long pieces going into things. Next story.
Let's move to the next story.
Wait, what?
The next story that Mark Ellis is eagerly awaiting.
I was told we can't talk about that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Disney's live action retelling. Now we're talking about Disney movies, R rating,
nice
and it's just
segue.
like,
We're terrible people.
We have variety on this show. All right, Disney's live action retelling of its animation classic Beauty and the Beast is due in theaters in less than a month, and it's already shaping up to be a box office juggernaut. Box office tracking reports have it on track to open at $120 million, while Disney insiders are staying on the conservative side, with their expectations placing it closer to just over $100 million. Mark, buy or sell style Beauty and the Beast opening at 120 million or above based on its current tracking.
Natasha, why are you going to throw the tracking in my face like that? Tracking means nothing in modern society. What did you do? Were you like Family Feud? We went to a mall and we asked 100 people, hey, who's going to see Beauty and the Beast opening weekend? And this is what I don't care. You know why? Because recent history has proven that box office tracking means absolutely nothing. Jurassic World was tracking around the same. Fast and Furious wasn't even tracking at $100 million. And look at what that opening was a couple years ago. This means nothing to me. It's going to make $200 million opening weekend. Buy it, print it, stamp it, whatever. $200 million.
Perri, are you going to go with Ellis?
Crazy.
with his $200 million prediction?
Tracking has been very wonky.
When I saw this headline, the first thing I thought is about your $200 million bet, which is not going to happen ever. Ever. Oh, there we go.
Not gonna happen ever.
I do think that it has a good chance of hitting the higher number that they were talking about, because the article says it's tracking 120. Disney is playing it a little conservative. Actually, to your point, Ellis, because tracking has been unreliable as of late. And, I never look at the tracking and make my box office predictions based on tracking. I look at, past movies and try to figure it out that way. 200 million
is within reason.
No.
Reason.
Oh, it's
no.
It's completely.
I mean, Civil War didn't even do 200 million.
You can use a case like a Jurassic World where nobody thought it would make that much at the box office, but it pops and it becomes this historical thing. But that's a dime a dozen. Looking at Jungle Book opened with 103 million opening weekend. The big difference between the Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast is how little competition. It only opened against Barbershop. 1 week before, it was The Boss. The week before that, I think, was kind of like a non-entity in terms of it taking money from the Jungle Book at the box office. It's a different situation because this March we have a major hot property dropping every single week, and the spillover that's going to happen from either a movie like Logan, which is coming out at the beginning of the month, so it'll be in week 3, and then I think what is the one after that?
Kong Skull
Kong.
Island's after that.
Kong is going to affect it too. So even though there's not all that much crossover at the box office with those types of movies, we're talking about movies that are taking such a big chunk of the box office pie that I don't think we're going to ever see a day where the Beauty and the Beast movie comes anywhere close to 200 million, but I will say I am starting to bet on it taking 120 million, and I think that is actually an insanely impressive yet realistic number.
Rocha?
Okay, my thing is, here's the
You eyeing me the entire time.
Perri is absolutely right. Every Friday, there's a huge. I mean, I wanted February I wanted to be put in a coma for 28 days so I could come out of February and go right into March and watch these films that are coming out. Because every Friday, there's these awesome films coming. Life's coming out. Ghost in the Shell's coming out. Kong, this, and so Beauty and the Beast, they released that clip of her singing, and it has split the internet. So for me, the idea that it's going to get 200 million is ludicrously insane because people are not 100% on board with Emma and her singing and some of the acting in that clip that they showed. And that's what you're hearing. That's what you're reading online. People feedbacks and stuff. Their feedback, rather. And so to me, I'm going to go closer to the 100 million, maybe the 120 if the reviews are off the charts and people are like wanting to bring their families and all this kind of jazz. But I think people are a little, because people love this love Beauty and the Beast. It's like a diamond. And so if you mess it up or scratch it in any way, people are going to run screaming from it.
You
got
gotta
to
know if they did it well or not. That's
right,
why
but you'll
you
see that in the
opening
reviews.
weekend.
You'll read that in the reviews, and you'll read that in people's reaction and word of mouth. And so to me, word of mouth would get it 200 million, but if the word of mouth is like uneven, then it's not going to get to 200 million or anywhere close.
Well, I'm going to buy that it's going to make 100, around 100. I'm not going 200 million. I think it's going to do very well. Personally, I've seen the trailers, and it just hasn't really excited me for it so far.
That's my point. That's my point.
But I've been heard from people who have seen rough cuts of it that it's actually really, really good. So I'm still looking forward to it. I think this is one of those movies that if it is good or as good as we hope it to be, it's going to open 100 whatever, but it's going to be one of those ones that just keeps going and going. That's just going to stay at the box office and keep going.
But there have been complaints, Dennis, about like the design of the Beast, right? And there are these articles coming out about whether it's a thing about Stockholm Syndrome and whether he's like keeping her prisoner and why isn't she reading the book? So that's what I mean. People love this property. It can rival DC in the kind of love that people have for this property in the Disney world. And so that's why it's getting way more scrutiny than almost anything that's come out live action that Disney has tried since. And this is the first one that people are really pushing back against. And people didn't go see Pete's Dragon, but people didn't revere it like they do Beauty and the Beast. But this, they're going over this like a fine-tooth comb, and they're finding anything they don't like about it and going online and screaming about it. And
That gets
that's
it in
going
the
to
papers.
affect box
That's all we
office.
care about. Look, I feel like I can open up to you guys. I feel like I can be honest with you guys. Okay, here's what makes me nervous. Here's what keeps me up in bed at night. It's not Kong Skull Island or Logan or whether people want to see Emma Watson sing these songs. It's that March 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be a lot of drunk people.
Oh, boy.
And if you're hammered at a parade, are you going to remember to stumble into the Beauty and the Beast theater?
I
tend
don't
to have
think
faith.
the demo for this movie is exactly that.
Exactly my point, Dennis.
I
think
don't see
if-
Beauty and the Beast posters at the local bar.
If there's
That's why
drunken
they should do a
leprechauns that
sing-along.
are
They
out.
should do the sing-along screenings that weekend.
I think that hammered people are gonna want to stumble into, oh, let's get a look at the Beast. Let's go hang out with Gaston. I think the more you drink, the more you're gonna want to go see Beauty and the Beast. 210 million is
Listen
within
here.
sight.
Okay.
Listen here, O'Malley. Let's go into the theatre and go see Beauty and the Beast. Let's go into the theatre and go see Beauty and the Beast.
I would like
There's no
to
way that's
ask
There's
Natasha
no way that's
and
happening.
Wendy, who actually shot a Beauty and the Beast commentary
Oh.
for us that we will be
sure
releasing
did.
very, very soon.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the opening box office numbers?
So, okay.
Get in there, girl. Stretch it
I gotta
out.
get it out. Okay, I've been a Beauty and the Beast live action supporter since the first trailer. I was not on the hater table. I liked everything.
Haters corner.
But
Boom, there it is.
Oh, boy.
I do not like Emma Watson singing in it, and it ruined it for me.
What did I say?
Ruined
You
it.
guys, the fact that me,
This is
like
happening.
Disney princess at heart, lost interest in it is not a good thing. So I think just because I'm an Uber fan, and so I'm still going to see it, obviously, which is why it's going to, make it probably will make the 120 mil. But I would stay more on the conservative side, just because, like Rocha said, it is so split. I mean, if you have huge Disney fans like me kind of doubting Beauty and the Beast, that's not a good sign.
You just
Wendy?
broke.
I know. I think I broke my own heart. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
go cry
God.
about it now.
The clip of Emma singing the first song, which is Belle, sold me even more because I wasn't sure if she could sing, and it's got a little bit more of a modern take. I don't expect her to sing like Paige O'Hara. I don't think anybody can have, and that's a classic in its own. But I am really very much looking forward to the movie, and I myself have contributed to the weekend box office because I've already spent money buying the advance tickets.
Thank you
to
for your
see
support,
it.
Wendy.
You're welcome. I'm trying
Like
to
it's going
get
straight
you
into
to that
Mark Ellis's
200 million. But jury's still out for me on like what Lumiere and Cogsworth look like in their object forms. I am still not liking it. Her dress is pretty, but I don't feel like it's too modern for the period. But
Yeah.
aside from that, like I'm still really excited to see everything else. So
I'm still excited, and I don't see it being bad, but I think just all of the split buzz about it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
definitely going to contribute
And
to
this is-
whether or not the numbers
There's
are
something
hit.
to be
be
at
said
right now,
for
120?
curiosity,
120
though.
million.
Yes.
Well, I hope it's better than
120
those
mil.
motion
120
posters they
mil.
released that other week.
And
Those
you
were
you
terrible.
only get to 200 million if you have repeat viewing. And if you have people like Natasha who is hesitant, so sees it once, is not 100% satisfied, she's not going to go back more than once or more than once. And so that's going to affect box office.
We're getting your money, Natasha. Look at La La Land. Okay, La La Land is a movie that has a lot of singing in it, not by professional singers, it's by actors who are trying their best, and people love watching it. People love it when you give an A effort, even if you're not the most talented person. Same thing with Emma Watson in that yellow dress. She's a Disney princess, but she's also relatable to the average human being because she's locked up in a castle with a beast. We ran off the rails for this a little bit. $220 million is within sight.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Lionsgate has debuted a new set of character posters for the Power Rangers movie. The movie follows 5 ordinary high school kids who must become something extraordinary when they learn that their small town of Angel Grove is on the verge of being obliterated by an alien threat. Directed by Project Almanac's Dean Israelite, the fans don't have long to wait as Power Rangers is coming to theaters on March 24th, 2017. Dennis, buy or sell the new posters for Power Rangers.
You better buy it.
Oh man, look. I'm looking forward to the movie. I changed my opinion about my anticipation for this film. I like the trailers that have come out. I like the marketing campaign. I like the design of the suits. I'm just at this point. I want this movie to come out so we can actually talk about if it's actually good or not. Because at this point, we've seen so much. We've talked so much about it. I'm kind of, in a way, sick of it. tentatively buy these posters, but what's the release date on this movie? March?
I think it's the 17th too, right? Isn't
24th.
it?
24th.
Right
Yeah.
after. Okay, good.
So
Okay.
it's gonna take all of Beauty and the Beast money the next
It
weekend.
can have it the second week.
Yeah. I just want this movie to come out, watch it, and see what all the hubbub is about.
Yeah.
Perri, I know you
Yeah.
are a huge fan.
Why would you even ask me if I buy or sell
Okay.
these? I am definitely gonna buy these posters. I don't think they're still my favorite because now I must rank all the Power Rangers posters because I stare at them a lot. My favorite poster is still the teaser poster with them standing on top of the car. It's a beautiful poster. And as far as character posters go, I think the most effective ones are those ones where it's just the Ranger suits and, you know, like that effect, that like swoosh effect. This is much better though than that stupid set of posters where it was like the itty bitty Rangers just like model posing on their Zords. I almost just called them droids. Oh, I'm losing my mind. But this is fine. And seeing them all together here, it's like these look to me like billboard type posters, like banners. You want to see them all blown up together, and it sells the point. I'm fine with this. Give me that damn movie already. I can't take it. I need to see it.
Rocha.
Yeah, I'm on the reverse. Give me that damn movie already so it can fail and we can move on. That's just, I mean, I just have no interest in this anymore. And
Says the world's biggest Transformers
That's right.
fan.
If we're
I'm
going to
going
start
there.
breaking down,
Yep,
everyone's got a
yep.
crappy movie they don't like. We must as well
gonna
eliminate
fight.
everybody off this panel. Listen, this thing is great. I actually like these posters. I think the design is great. I think the colors are perfect. I think if you're going to sell this to a Morphin Power Rangers fan, this is how you go about it. And I think for me, looking at this, I go, oh, I might give it a shot. But then I see the trailer, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so. So, not in a negative way. Like, people who love Mighty Morphin, it's their thing. Just like Transformers was my thing in the 80s. I love any version it comes in, except that second movie. That was terrible. But this whole thing is great, and I love it. And if I was a fan of the film, it would get me more excited to go see it. And I agree with you, Perri. The teaser poster was the best one, but this is not bad either. I didn't like the one with the Zords and them running up a Phantom Hill for some reason. I didn't like that so much. But this I actually enjoy. And I actually like the one with the electricity around them and stuff. I think that's really cool. It's a good way to modernize it, and it's very glossy, and this is what kids are into. Shake the keys in front of their faces. They will run, go see this stuff. And so hopefully, you know, it is effective for the people who make the film and people who love the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers property like Perri does. But for me, I'm like, let's just get this and let's move past it already because we talk about it too
Ellis?
much.
I mean, it looks like they're trying to appeal to a slightly older demographic or one that would be interested in like a Transformers or a Pacific Rim as well, because that's what these posters look like. So as character posters, I will buy them just fine. As individual human beings, they kind of look like those annoying suburban dads that become professional bikers on the weekend, and they ride around everywhere and they're waiting in line at Starbucks for like 20 minutes, just getting their lattes and their bagels and whatever. I can't stand people that dress that much. Like, we got to get like the XFL looking helmet and everything. They look like downhill skiers or rollerbladers or somebody that I'm probably going to
Rollerbladers.
almost hit in traffic, and I don't like that.
All right, what's next?
Variety is reporting that Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen have signed on to star in the comedy Flarsky with 50-50 director Jonathan Levine at the helm. Rogen will play an unemployed journalist who wants to pursue Theron's character, a childhood crush and babysitter that happens to be one of the most powerful and unattainable women on Earth. The script is written by veteran comedy scribe Dan Sterling with a release date yet to be determined. Mark, buy or sell the Flarsky movie starring Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen?
Oh boy, this sounds zany. I'll actually buy it. I like the talent involved. Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, two very, very good at what they do, actors and actresses. Seth Rogen is always so funny to me. I think he's such a relatable everyman. And Theron obviously can bring whatever she wants to a role. She's shown she can bring some comedy. She can bring drama or action, whatever the role requires. And I like that it's done by Levine, who also did 50-50, because 50-50 was such a great movie. This seems like it's going to lean a lot heavily more on comedy than drama than that film did. But as just something that's going to be a fun movie to go see, a good date movie, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. And mainly, actually, for the director, Jonathan Levine. Not only did he do 50-50, which I thought was underrated, another movie just recently, The Night Before, which I thought is an underrated comedy that a lot of people didn't see. He also did Warm Bodies, which, I think did decently at the box office. I like this premise. I like Seth Rogen. I like Charlize Theron. So I'm all for this. Perri?
Warm Bodies, I think, did really well. It had a very strong opening weekend in February. I'm in Warm Bodies. I've almost forgotten
that's
about
right.
yeah.
Oh.
You're in
Slutty,
Warm
Slutty
Bodies?
Business Zombie.
Yeah.
Let's never forget
You
that
play a
happens.
zombie in it?
Slutty Business Zombie.
Didn't you post a picture on Instagram?
I did. When you look in the actual movie, it's a wide shot of the baggage claim with zombies, lumbering around, and I just happen to know where I am. But it's like I'm so tiny in the frame that I'm pixelated, and I just know that was me walking there.
We'll put you in that movie over Makuga in Live by Night. 'Cause he's an extra in Live by Night.
Is
we'll
he
see
really?
who's better. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We'll see who looks
I gotta
less
look
like a
for that.
zombie.
But with this, if they had announced this project and just released the synopsis of what it was, I probably would have sold it because there's nothing in there to me that suggests this is going to be something different and fresh. You put these two actors with Jonathan Levine, and that's a completely different story. Jonathan Levine, that would be it. That would be it. Do I not look really happy in
You
that? I'll
do.
share it on Instagram again. I don't care. But the second you add Jonathan Levine to this package here, that's what makes all the difference. And you already mentioned Warm Bodies, 50-50, The Night Before, and The Whackness. If you haven't seen The Whackness, you need to watch that movie. But we're talking about a director who I don't think has ever made a bad movie. So how can I not buy this?
Rocha?
Yeah, subjectively, I think you can say that. He has not made a bad movie. I agree with Perry 1,000%, and everybody else who's buying it because of Levine. Levine does these comedies, but he gives them heart, and he gives them real emotional turmoil for these characters to go through. 50-50 is cancer. The Night Before is about moving on and breaking the bonds of friendship. Like, how much of that do you still retain? And I think Charlize is the perfect person to doing this, because if you've never seen Young Adult, you need to see Young Adult.
I
Charlize
love
is
Young Adult.
so good in that
Made me
film.
so uncomfortable.
Of course it-
but
but
because
it's-
she did such a good job.
She did, because she's not redeemable at all, and she still carries it off, where you find yourself following this person through her journey. And I think she's the right choice for this kind of movie, because this could easily be a stupid, cheesy film with the plot and premise. Oh, once again, a schlubby guy is trying to get the hot woman, and we've seen this a million times, because of course it's never the other way around, is it? But it's like, so we see this crap, and it could be really sexist and misogynistic, but I have a feeling this is gonna have more to do with their emotional journeys themselves, and it'll add to the comedy because we as human beings will relate to it as we're watching it on both sides.
It's a great point, because with the talent involved, you got to assume that it's going to have more than just what we read in that premise. Because if you read that premise, it's like we've seen this movie 100 times, we're getting a little sick of it.
Pitch.
But with this talent involved, I think there's going to be more layers to this.
Yeah. All right, let's do the last best buy or sell topic.
Okay, STX Films has released a new trailer for the World War II romance drama, Their Finest. Directed by an education and one-day helmer, Lone Scherfig, the film stars Gemma Arterton as Katrin Cole, a scriptwriter hired by the British Ministry of Information to bring a woman's touch to the propaganda films that are giving the nation a morale boost. She soon meets a charming movie producer played by Sam Claflin, and together they work with their crew to create a film that will lift the spirits of a wartime nation. The movie arrives in U.S. theaters on April 7th. Perry, buy or sell the new trailer for Their Finest?
I'm gonna buy it, a very, very light buy for this, just because of the people involved for the most part, and because of the story. I find the story very interesting. Having read about the story before seeing this trailer, I did not expect this to be the tone of the trailer or the tone of the movie. It seems like it is the polar opposite of what I was originally envisioning, but we are talking about the director of an education, so I guess it's got to be above a certain level quality-wise, and we have a great cast here too. I mean, the group that's part of this movie and the material they're working with is all rock solid. The fact that I was kind of caught off guard because I had come up with a picture of what this movie was going to be beforehand, maybe that's not fair, but at this point, I don't think the trailer sells that kind of tone well enough to, rah-rah buy it, but I'll light buy at this point.
Ellis?
Yeah, I'll buy it too, because if for no other reason, like, we're so inundated with trailers at this time of year that are for these huge blockbusters we're about to go see. Then you see something like Their Finest, which is just an interesting story that I want to learn more about. I'm a sucker for anything that has to do with World War II. And so this is something that I wasn't really aware was going on. And the fact that we get such a good cast, like Perry pointed out, it wasn't the best trailer I've ever seen, but I enjoyed it enough to where I want to go see it. I think Claflin's got a lot of ability, as does Arterton. And Bill Nighy is one of my favorite actors to watch Plus, I had a dream about him leading the Masters last night after the first round.
This is what we talk about in pre-production.
That's right.
meetings.
That's right.
I'm gonna buy it. At first, when it started, I was like, "Oh, this is a war film. It kind of looks cheesy. What is it? What is this terrible CGI there?" And then I realized, like, oh, the story is about making this thing. It has the matte paintings. They keep saying Dunkirk throughout the film, and I think this comes out before Chris Nolan's Dunkirk. I like Sam Claflin and Gemma Arterton. Gemma Arterton is one of those actresses that I thought was on the cusp of becoming really big, but she ended up being in what was it, Clash of the Titans and Prince of Persia.
Well,
That kind of took her down.
She
She was
had
in that Hansel and Gretel witch hunter
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I
Swept
love
up in
that
Asia.
So
movie.
doing a sequel about, I guarantee.
I had so much fun with that movie, but if you want to see her in a really good movie that just came out, Girl with All the Gifts. She's excellent in that. Great movie overall. I
Gifts
don't know.
or GIFs? Gifts?
Gifts
Okay.
with a T.
Nike
With a T,
or
okay.
Nike?
All right.
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
But for the record, it's GIF.
Okay.
Glad we cleared that up.
Gift.
But yeah, she's an actress where I'm like, oh, I thought she was gonna become a lot bigger, and then she didn't disappear, but she took on roles in the lesser known things, and and this isn't gonna be a big, huge hit, but I like the tone of the trailer, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Rocha?
I'm gonna sell it actually, and I think because I don't understand what this is about. Is this about this woman who is going to write this stuff and flesh out and give these propaganda films more heart? And if it is, why is she the least seen person in the trailer? She has very minimal screen time in that trailer. And are they hiding her? Are they hiding her performance? That's what always concerns me when I see these films and they say starring this person, then you see the trailer and this person barely appears in the trailer, and then you're like, this worries me a little bit. And it's got negative and mixed reviews coming out of Toronto International Film Festival and out of Sundance. So it might be one of these films that tried to do something really important, but was a mess and a muddled mess, and you can't find your way through the film to see what the real story is. It might be 4 or 5 different storylines that just don't mesh, and they slam into each other, and they're not giving the right service to the right storyline that makes it stand out as something different from all these other World War II era. Because do they have a romance? Like, we don't know. Like, they have these moments, but we don't know what happens here. And so for me, I think Gemma does nice work in the small seconds that they give her, but you don't see her doing a lot. You see her voiceover a lot, but you actually see her acting. You see Bill Nighy more. You see Claflin more. You see you even have a shot of I forget the guy that's in Ray Donovan. He does a really nice job. He does a really nice job as well. But you don't see a lot of Gemma, and that bothers me because I'm with you, Dennis. I thought Gemma was going to blow up. I think Gemma's a good actress, and she does really great work in these British films, like Madame Bovary. All these, she does really nice work in the smaller British properties, and I was hoping to see more of her in this trailer, so it would sell me more to go see it. But right now, I sell it.
All right, guys, before we moved on mailbag, I'll remind you that we're going to take live tour questions at the end. You tweet us at Collider Video. And also, I'm going to bring up, Rocha and Ellis have not seen Logan, and most of you may have not seen Logan. However, we actually have a way for you to see it next Wednesday before.
Us? Really?
Yeah, before the movie comes out on Friday.
Okay.
Anyone in the LA area, we actually have a contest going on the Collider website to win tickets to see showing at the ArcLight Hollywood at 7 p.m. Q&A with James Mangold after. Actually, I think it's the ArcLight Santa Monica. All you have to do is email thecollidermailbox@gmail.com with the subject line, I want to see Logan before it's in theater.
Want to see Logan.
And if you'd like to include your name in the body of the email, and if you'd like to bring a guest.
I'd like to bring Natasha Martinez.
They're accepting emails until Monday morning, and people will be contacted Monday afternoon if they got in.
Okay, but now
But
if
do we have
fans
to
go
send
to
emails?
that,
Yeah.
if fans go to that and they see Rocha, does Rocha have to be nice and offer to hang out with them? Because I know
Yes.
he hates hanging out with
Yes.
fans afterwards.
If they
so.
buy me a beer, I'll hang out.
Okay.
All right, that's fine.
He's
What about
such
you?
a nice
I'll
guy.
bring the belt. I'll bring the belt.
You'll bring the
Of
Do
belt
we have
and
to
the
send
hat.
emails, or can we go?
I think I may know a few people that may
Okay,
get
thank you,
you
Dennis.
in.
Awesome.
Rocha.
I will have Rocha send an email on my behalf.
Okay.
And please don't forget about Ellis.
Yeah. I also want to remind you guys that we actually released a Doctor Strange commentary. Myself, Schnepp, John Campius, and Ellis over there talked about the movie. It comes out actually on Blu-ray next week, next Tuesday, but it's available on digital download right now. We have the Schmodown dropping today. Mark Bernard. How do you even pronounce it?
Bernardin.
Bernardin taking on Nick Scarpino. And then we also have Austin Tackler, which comes out on the Go 90 network. That's with Jeremy Johns. All right, guys. Now we're moving on to a mailbag.
Oh, wow. You're just going to gloss over that I won the title? You're just going to gloss over it?
I don't know if everyone's seen the match.
Nah,
Okay,
261,000 people have seen the
Okay.
match, so I think we're good to go. I think we're good
You're
to
so
go.
humble.
I know. I figured
I'm
you
totally joking.
didn't bring the
I'm
belt
totally
in.
jo- I
You
know
didn't
I
bring
didn't.
in
I
the
know.
hat.
I'm totally joking. Let's move on to mailbag. I was just going to be
Oh, he's so embarrassed.
Cute that you had your little victory.
Yeah. All
Hope you
right, let's
enjoyed.
move on to mailbag. Natasha, what do we got?
Okay. Delcia April writes, "Hello, Collider crew. I was wondering if there's an aspect of a film that you'd love to get more appreciation from general audiences other than the acting or writing. I feel like sound design and lighting contribute a lot for a film, but most people wouldn't think about it at all. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks."
For me, I mean, writing is one of those things that, even though you mentioned it, is that it's underrated and most people, but at least people have a concept of what writing is.
Yeah.
For me, it's editing. That's one of the most underappreciated crafts in the business because people don't understand how important it is, how it can make or break a movie, how it can make or break a performance. You could take out bits out of someone's performance and make them look terrible in a movie, or you can make them look great. You leave a performance on for a second too long, or cut it off a second too short, you may be losing some of the importance or impact of that performance. And and I know not everyone knows what editing is, so I don't blame them, but there is a lot of ignorance about it. So a lot of people consider editing as, oh, you just take the boring stuff out.
Yeah.
That's what you do, and that part of the craft I think needs to be more widely known. Perry?
If I had to pick one right now, I have a long list of things that I think deserve an Academy Award category, but right now I'll probably go sound design because that is really important, especially as a horror genre fan. I said it right today. It is absolutely key to have. I mean, I'm just trying to think of some good examples from the one feature that I produced, and it's just, you think it's no big deal to catch people's footsteps as they're going, let's say, up and down stairs. When you're on a set, sometimes you can't get that cleanly, and it becomes a post-production thing. And it's like, if that footstep is just like like one frame off, you're in trouble. If that does not match the person making the footsteps, and this is like a really little nothing thing. Think of a movie like Rogue One with an insane space battle where everything that is happening in a gigantic frame needs to be represented not only visually but audibly too. It's an incredible amount of work, very similar to VFX where it's underappreciated and everyone's like, "Oh, you just slap something together in Photoshop." No, like you've got to think of every single frame. You got to zoom in and make sure every single detail is done correctly. It is the same thing with proper sound design too. So I think that deserves a little more credit than it gets.
Yeah, and sound design too, it's like one of those things where you don't realize it when you're watching it as a viewer the first time. It's just something that you kind of take for granted, but especially with horror movies, whether it's like the creak of a wooden panel or like the jiggle of a handle on a door, anything can unnerve you, and that's how filmmakers use that so effectively. And also stunt people. Like if you're the only person that's really like putting your life on the line for a production, and in the modern age of using CGI and all these things, there's a lot of great stunt performers that get overlooked. And catering's a huge thing with me. The catering apparently got better on every Steven Seagal movie as they continued to be made. So shout out to everybody at Craft Services and people in zombie makeup.
Rocha?
For me, it's casting. I think I have a number of friends who are casting directors, and this is something that they trumpet every year, and they've done a couple of documentaries that really showcase how casting has really made or broken films, and especially the one that came out, I think, last year or 2 years ago, explored the 70s and how the casting was really important in a lot of those films that we feel are our foundation for our love of films, for this generation, or our generation, or my generation. And so those kinds of things are really important. And to me, I think that deserves an Oscar. I think there is an Oscar for sound design. I think obviously there is an Oscar for editing, but there's nothing for casting. And it's because people think casting directors come in and directors tell them who to cast, or studios tell them to cast. That's not true. These people go and find these unknown actors, these unknown people who are toiling away on stage or toiling away in smaller independent films, and they bring them out and they put them in front of a director and they kick ass in those audition sessions. and they get cast in these parts, and they go and be famous and be successful as good actors. And so those kinds of things are really important. And people and cast. There's a reason people come back to the same casting directors. Directors trust the same casting directors because they know they have their finger on the pulse of these actors, and they know what these directors want and the type of actors they want in their films. And that's really important. And I think that should be recognized way more than it is.
Yeah, I think casting is definitely one of the more integral parts of the industry. All right, guys, now we're moving on to your live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video. Wendy, what do we got?
The first one comes from Broom Benson, who writes, "Can you sweaties help me settle a debate? What is a better story, Civil War or Injustice?"
I haven't read Injustice, so I can't say. And they're talking about the comic books because Civil War had a comic book, and then Injustice is only a comic book right now.
Right.
So I've only read Civil War, so I would say
Look, Dennis,
Civil
I
War.
was told there would be no reading on the panel. Friday, I came in. I clearly have a plane to catch to go to Hawaii in about an hour.
no.
I can't be reading Injustice, but Civil War is a tough one to top.
At the Yuck Yuck Club, what are you going into in Hawaii?
It's coconuts. Thank you.
Ha 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 ho. Ha ha ho.
I would say Injustice. I love Injustice.
Okay.
I think it's so good, and Alex Ross is some of the design for it or the artistry for it. So to me,
You haven't read Injustice.
I do. I have stacks of it, and I like that a little bit more Civil War because Civil War had some issues when Spider-Man and all this stuff and who was going to be on what team, and then when it got changed over, it wasn't as good as it should have been, which is why I enjoy the movie so much because I think the movie stripped away all the stuff that didn't work and really kept the stuff that did work in the film. But I would say Injustice is an awesome series on DC.
I haven't read either, but I would assume that I'd like the opposite of Rocha, so I'll say Civil War.
I think you can apply that pretty much to anything in life. The opposite of Rocha, and you'll be doing just fine. All right, what's next?
Emil Johansson writes, "Do you think Pirates will make back its money if the budget of $300 million plus the Super Bowl ad cost is accurate?"
My God, they spent $300 million on that movie.
Well, they're saying if it's accurate,
$305
so-
million
That's
with the Super Bowl.
Crazy. I stopped watching this franchise after I think the third one.
I'm sorry, Dennis. I was laughing.
You're not
at
paying
Perry's-
attention.
It's because
What's
Perry
happening?
made me laugh.
The
at this opposite thing.
question was, will Pirates of the Caribbean, the new one, make its budget back because it cost $300 million to make, plus advertising, as Dennis was so eloquently pointing
I
out
apologize.
while you were giggling,
Sorry.
is that Dennis got bored of watching Pirates a long time ago. And I kind of agree with Dennis, but I'll also say that the world at large apparently
does
did
not
not. I
agree.
mean, those things make $500 million like clockwork, so it's going to make its budget back. Whether it's going to be good is a totally different story. I happen to think it is going to be good. I'm a little excited.
Rocha?
I think that new trailer was really great, and and they're doing the smart thing. They know Johnny's got a little bit of a backlash, so they're not showcasing him a lot. It's more about the main villain. That they're showing that more and more, and showing what he's doing with that Javier Bardem, and so that to me is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And it's an international cast. That's smart. So you're going to be appealing to that kind of demographic and making the money that way. I think it's hit or miss. I think it's because people have kind of a backlash against the entire property. So who knows if they're going to show up or not? But I think it certainly has a chance because this seems like a different kind of Pirates of the Caribbean.
I do agree.
a
I
darker
like
one.
that superhero spot
Yeah.
that they did. It was a little different. I
Yeah.
don't know if it'll get me in the theater. Maybe if I hear a lot of good things, Perry.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much definitely going to earn that budget back and then some. Because I remember, I think it was on a movie talk recently where we were looking at the Spider-Man film franchise and how shocking it was how with every single Spider-Man movie, depending on what studio they're at, who makes them, whatever, the numbers have always gone down, continuously gone down. That is not the case with Pirates. The first one is still the lowest earner worldwide. Then it goes up significantly with Dead Man's Chest in 2006. Then it goes back down a little in 2000, kind of a little in 2007. But then 2011, the most recent one, On Stranger Tides, it's back up again almost, and it's the second highest. So clearly people still want to see these movies, and I'd be surprised if it dropped below At World's End. So I think it's definitely making more than
But
enough.
domestically, I don't think it gets to $300 million.
But I mean,
It's gonna have
that's
to go
how
overseas.
Transformers
Yeah,
is
yeah,
right
right.
now. Transformers domestic going down, international going up, and so they're still
right.
going to make the films.
Well,
Let's do.
Domestic still fluctuates quite a bit, but actually, the funny thing with what I just said about worldwide, the lowest earner domestically is On Stranger Tides, so is the latest one.
All right, one last one.
Okay, this one comes from Jorah the Explorer, who writes, "Will you guys start reviewing films that debut on Netflix and Amazon or other streaming services, or only theater releases?"
I mean, mostly it's theater releases. That may change if something like, The Irishman,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a Scorsese with Robert De Niro film. That may change where if there is something that big, then we would be forced to cover it. I don't see that as a typical thing, but if there is enough, something like maybe Beasts of No Nation might have been something we could have done in the past.
Sure.
But it has to be more of something that everyone knows about.
Right, and the documentary The 13th, too, is something that came out this year and is nominated for Best Documentary. I think it should win for Best Documentary. So
Really?
that's something that, if it's to that level, of course, we would love to talk about it here. But I literally have no say over anything that happens on this show. So I'm just here to be a pundit and apparently read Injustice this weekend.
I agree with you, Mark. I saw I Am Not Your Negro, and I thought that was going to be the one that I liked. But then I saw the 13th, and it's Miles, like, it's so powerful, that documentary. It should
Phenomenal,
absolutely win.
13th is great, but have
Yeah.
you seen any OJ?
Wow. Made in America is 7. That almost seems
Wow.
unfair, though, because
OJ's
that's
getting a big
7
push right
hours.
now.
It does almost
Yeah.
seem unfair, but my mentality watching that was like,
Yeah.
oh, I should at least watch one segment to be in the know
Right.
for the actual ceremony. And when it came to an end the night I was watching it,
Yeah.
I got all sad that it was over and that I didn't have time to start the next part. It's that good.
Yeah, the Cine Family here in town did last Sunday. They showed all 7 parts in a row in the theater. You could, and it was for free. All you had to do was mail in, get in, go and show up on time, and at 11 a.m. and they showed all.
Wow.
And that speaks to the power of that documentary. Absolutely. But I also think it's unfair. 7.5 hours. It's essentially a TV series.
Yeah, that's a TV series. Wendy, did you have something to?
Oh, it's separate. It's not on topic, but
Okay.
we know we're coming here to watch Oscars on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So Cody Miller wants to know, aside from bragging rights, what is the prize for the Collider Oscar pool?
Money.
Yeah, but there's 2 different pools. We had a whole meeting about this and nothing got solved. So there was
What?
like
I thought you
there-
said you
there
don't
was
have
like
anything
20
to do with
people
stuff
were
here.
around, and so we said, okay, because there was a discrepancy as to how much money the pool is going to be.
Yeah.
So Cam was like, okay, everybody raise your hand if you wanted to be $20, and 5 people raised their hand. Then it was like, okay, raise your hand if you wanted to be $10, and 4 people raised their hand.
Those are
so
the
now it's
suckers.
$20. But what I'm saying is that we let the 5 people or Daddy Warbucks, who have all the money in the world to spend,
I know,
they can
they
have their
got-
own
they
stupid
got
little
20
pool.
bucks to-
Everybody else can be part of my pool, the $10 pool.
Or it's just the people with
Yay.
some serious confidence that they're going to win that pool. I'm going to win that pool.
Well, yeah, because
I'm
there's
gonna
only
win that
4
pool.
people you're competing against, and Makuga's going to enter 3 times.
Yeah.
I have another part. I can't.
You
Yeah,
can't make it.
yeah,
I see how it
I
is.
put a maybe
Now,
on you,
now
but-
you're a champ. You just don't have to show up to anything, anyways. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Speaking of the Oscars, we're actually going to be doing 3 shows on Sunday. We have a pre-show talking about who we think are going to win. We're going to have a show during the commercial breaks where we're going to run a live stream and we're going to pop in here during commercial breaks and talk about what just happened. And then we're going to have a short post-show talking about the winners and the highlights of the show. Check out Collider Video on Sunday. I want to thank the people joining us at the table today. Perri Nemiroff, where can people find you?
You guys can watch me win the big money in the Big Money Oscar pool this Sunday night. Also, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at PNemroff. And check out the brand new episode of Collider Behind the Scenes on Saturday. I'm going to say it again. It's another good one.
Rocha?
Yes. You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. The Super Animation Game Time show is on hiatus for the next few weeks. We're retooling it. We'll be back on Geek and Sundry there. The Cinephiles, we just dropped a new episode this morning in honor of the Oscars. West Side Story with Milena Govich and David Cornu, who's a composer, and Milena was a Broadway actress who was a series regular on Rescue Me for a couple of seasons. She came on, and we talked about West Side Story for an hour and 45 minutes. It's an awesome podcast. Go and take a look at it on iTunes. And also Sunday night, the Walking Dead review show. I don't know if it's going to go on after the Oscars or before the Oscars. I don't know where they're going to put it, but we're going to be doing the Walking Dead review show with Dennis, Perry, and Josh McCouga and myself. Please look out for that. And Wednesday night, come find me at Logan.
Man, you got a busy schedule, huh? I will be at the Comedy Store this Saturday, or as Rocha calls it, Hyenas on Sunset Strip. You guys can go and use promo code SCHMOES at my website, markellislive.com.
Natasha?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NatashaLexis_.
Perry? Or Wendy? Sorry.
Wendy Perry, let's ship us together. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
All right. Thanks to Adam and the Cody in the back over there. You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Videos, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.